So, Greg Stein, experienced promoter, you've come to the board's special general meeting today, and you feel like it's basically, as you said, a bit of mockery.
Yeah, I think it's been a total waste of time, really, because we thought it was going to be a democratic meeting, and all there has been Charlie Giles opening the meeting to say this is a meeting from an adjourned meeting, looks at a proxy vote, and it's all over, without giving anyone on the floor to say anything. So undemocratic. It makes the whole thing a mockery. You wonder why you've come all this way. It's a very disappointing thing. We're all independent businessmen, and yet we're being treated like children, and it's totally wrong. We know how to run things. We know how to hold meetings. Many of us chair meetings. I myself am Secretary of the Professional Boxing Promoters Association. My former partner Bruce Baker is chairman, and yet we're being treated as if we're children, and yet we have no say. This is our association. This is our we're licence holders, and yet as licence holders and shareholders we have no say. Now where's the fairness in that?
It's long been the case as well that as the Promoters Association you felt like you didn't have any help off the board for various reasons, isn't it? Not just this.
It's not just this. There has been a tiny amount of help, but they've been forced to give it. They've been put into a position where they felt they can't do anything else. But generally speaking, we've had to do everything ourselves. And we're doing our best to try and help others in our similar situation. But the board are very obstructive in their behaviour.
Now, Bruce Baker, your partner in the Promoters Association, he's compared them to FIFA in the way they've handled this. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, quite like FIFA, quite like the... I would say that's a very good parallel. The people in charge are getting away with heaven knows what in expenses, and yet it's our money that's paying for all these jollies, and we don't know exactly how that money is being spent. If you look in the Board of Control accounts, it's very bland. It just says wages. We don't know who's being paid what. We feel that's very wrong, and yet it's just another way of how the board are carrying on. It's totally beyond our control, and yet as licence holders and therefore shareholders, we ought to have a say. And yet we're being told that it's in the good of the sport that we don't have a say.
You mentioned the accounts there as well for the board. Is it true that once upon a time the board's accounts were actually open and now they're not accessible to you?
That's right, they were open at one time. We knew exactly what was being spent, but now we don't know. The last I heard is that they spent something like £20,000 on biscuits for their meetings. Now, that's a lot of biscuits to my mind.
Good God, sounds like someone's hungry. Now, in terms of the financial aspects, as we mentioned, they're getting rid of area councils where people have a financial interest in them, but the word hypocrisy has been used for the fact that quite a number of the board directors are paid for doing work for other governing bodies in one shape or another.
They are. So effectively, that actually makes them earning money from the sport. So the rule that they brought in today effectively means many of them should resign immediately. We tried to put it to the vote that they resigned immediately, but of course it was dismissed. But it's really important that if they're going to have a rule, then they should abide by the rules that they're creating, if we have to abide by them as well.
Now, in terms of the meeting today, you said you didn't have any chance to speak or to get your points of view across. They've put this in place because they've said that people voted in favour of it, but is it the right people that voted? I mean, who actually made this decision?
It's all basically the people who are on non-financial councils who always vote the same way as the main Board of Control. When the Board of Control was brought into existence, it was a non-financial organisation, but it controlled area councils, all of which were financial. So they always had overall superiority. They could always overrule the financial councils. Now that was a good reason. That was a democratic organisation. So the smaller councils would come up with decisions, it would go to the main board, which then, in a way like the House of Lords, could overrule the House of Commons. That's how it was. But since then, they've been gobbling up the area councils, making them non-financial councils, so that now everybody's in a non-financial council. It's basically the same as being part of the main board.